Welcome back to Fred Talk. I am your host, Freddie Valois. Welcome. How's your summer going? Huh? Tell me about it. How's the start to your summer going? That's what I want to know, baby. We're in a different time of year, is where we're at. And now some of you listening might be thinking, what is he talking about? Summer doesn't start for like another 2 weeks, right? Summer usually starts like June, like early June 20 something. Like right, like 21st or 22nd is like first day of summer. Now, scientifically, that might be correct, right? That's what the nerds tell us in their laboratories when they're looking at the shape of the Earth, um, round. So it's flat for some of you. Listen, I actually accept flat earthers on this podcast. So if you believe the Earth is flat, I don't give a shit. Just tell your friends about the podcast, all right? So you're probably thinking, summer actually doesn't start for 2 weeks. No. You don't always have to believe the science, guys. Sometimes you got to follow your heart. And in your heart, we all know that Memorial Day weekend is the first day of summer. In your heart, you know that shit, baby. That's when pools open up. That's when uh uh people are grilling, people are remembering the people that fought for our freedom. Right? That's what Memorial Day weekend is about. It's about burgers, unprotected sex, and remembering the troops, baby. So I hope you did that. I hope you had a good one, that you spent with your family, you hung out, you kicked off the summer on the right note. I hope you did that. Um, Today's episode is going to be mildly annoying. No, I'm just kidding. Today's episode is going to be mid. It's going to be an average episode. I listen. We're gonna set the expectations where they need to be. I'm fucking with y'all. All right, so I'm gonna break down today's a poll for my Instagram, and it was ladies, have you ever heard or received this advice? Find a man that loves you more than you love him. I'm going to get to those responses in a second, but before I go there, please sign up to my Patreon. Go to my Instagram profile, click on the link, and sign up. You get extra content. It's more personal content, more just more intimate content. And one of last month's episodes are really good. I go through, it's a 27-minute riff rant, tea spilling of this intense, somewhat whatever talking phase that I was in for 2 months that just blew up on Memorial Day weekend. So that's how I kicked off my summer, right? This summer, I thought I was going to have a summer of love. It actually is going to be a summer of work, and that's okay. That feels better, I guess, but on those 27 minutes, I talk about my feelings, my thoughts, all that good stuff, with respect to all parties involved. All right. They know we ain't snitching here. This is between me and that person and Mark Zuckerberg, probably, and maybe a few people in China or something like that. But I give you the important stuff, and this pattern, this situation is very relatable. It's very relatable. I think a lot of people have gone through something like this. Yeah, you get with someone that has an avoidant attachment style and blah 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 whatever. I talk about all my stuff, and I just want to let you know that I do, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the episode. I take 100% accountability for what happened. So although it hurt the shit out of my feelings and I felt like shit for a little bit, I take 100% accountability for, I don't know, choosing to ignore red flags, blah blah blah. I talk about it. I'm funny about it on the podcast, on the Patreon. So if you want to know what happened, go check that out. Yeah. Yeah. I had like 3 jokes. I was like, I don't want to say those jokes. But on Patreon, you will get those jokes. So sign up to the Patreon. All right. So let's break this down. I'm going to repeat the question. Ladies, have you ever heard or received the advice? Find a man that loves you more than you love him. Have you heard that? The first time I heard that was years ago, almost a decade ago. But I was hearing it from a lot of Hispanic women. So immediately I'm thinking this is some toxic Hispanic lady manipulation, psychology, power struggle type shit. And as I got older, I started hearing the same advice people heard from their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunts, women saying, this person told me, find a man that loves you more than you love him. That's apparently the keys to success for a happy relationship, is the man needs to love the woman more than the woman loves the guy. And At first hearing this advice, I don't like it. When I first heard it in my life, I was like, oh, this sounds like some weird, like I said, power struggle, manipulation type thing. It comes from like a scarcity mindset. It comes from the same thing. You've probably heard this one in relationship philosophy. The one that cares the least wins. And I'm like, that's probably true. I think I agree with that. Person that cares the least wins. That it especially works in negotiations. You have the leverage when you don't give a fuck, right? But do we want to use negotiating language? Do we want to use scumbag negotiating language when it comes to love? Is that what we're doing here? Is that why we're on this planet? This fucking godforsaken life? Is that what we're gonna do? That's how we're gonna refer to love? I don't like that. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and it makes me like life less. That type of thing. Now, I will say, from first hearing the advice a decade or so ago to now, I have like been more compassionate, or have like understood why someone might want to feel love that way. Maybe it's all they can do, right? And that's okay. Like at the end of the day, we all got to do what feels good to us, as long as we're not hurting anyone else and hurting ourselves too. Because we forget that just because you don't hurt anybody else doesn't give you permission to hurt you. So if you're not hurting somebody else and holding yourself back in the process from living a more loving life or anything like that, maybe that situation works out for you, and that's okay, because we're all like our own little universes, right? And we just got to do what we got to do to survive and feel good and feel loved. So no judgment here. We're gonna, I'm gonna talk about it, but I'm on the side of I don't like this advice. I think it's stupid. But we're gonna go through because there's some good answers, and then I'll give you one from my little sister that to me was the best reason pro this thing. It made sense. So I'll get to that one later. Hopefully I remember it. That's the big one. But I'm so impressed. I'm like, oh shit, my little sister, she can't read, but she could think with the best of them. I swear to God. All right, first response on love a man more than he loves you for the ladies. This gal says, women can grow to love a man, but a man either loves you or he doesn't. Let's feel that one out, right? This is all anecdotal, but if you've lived a life, you can kind of gauge. There's a feeling that sentence should give you. Women can grow to love a man, but a man either loves you or he doesn't. Women can grow to love a man. I could see that. Oh man, I told a story about like my first love from middle school, where we dated for like it was like it was the hottest girl in school. Someone or her friend, I think it was like a prank. It was like, oh, she wants to be your girlfriend. I'm like, hell yeah. It was like at the end of the school day. I went home that night. I was like, I got a girlfriend. She's the hottest girl in school. Haven't even talked to her yet. I think I said hello. Went home feeling good. Woke up feeling great. Got to school that morning and got dumped from her. And I was like, I was just kind of like, that makes more sense, right? I was very low self-esteem. I don't think I started wrestling then. So then the next day, no, not the next day, the next year, we were in the same class and we had assigned seating, and I was sitting right behind her. So over the course of that year, her and I got to get really close. Like we were like friends, because I was like, I know she don't like me. She already done me. I could just be myself, and I was just being myself. And towards the end of the year, she wrote a letter to me saying how much she loves me and how much like I had mentioned earlier that year that like, oh, sometimes people can grow on people. I don't know how I said that. I don't know where I got that from. I said that it was in 7th grade, and she referenced that quote. So she quoted me and was like, you said that people can grow on people, and I feel like you grew on me. It was the craziest thing ever. And it was my first glimpse at like, oh, being yourself is the fucking wave, right? Like, I got to have the hottest girl in middle school professor love to me, and that was cool. She ended up passing away a couple years later from a heart condition, and that was super sad. But yeah, that's that. So going to this thing, a woman can grow to love a man. I mean, that's my example there. I do agree with that. I feel like if a man loves you or he doesn't, a lot of times it could be settling. He's like, I guess this is the one I got to settle with. She's giving me physical contact and some kind of words of affirmation. I guess it could be like that. All right, next one. This girl says, I need him to be obsessed with me, but he can't get on my goddamn nerves too much. And this is women right here. This is, you see this? Be obsessed with me, but don't be annoying with your obsession. Like the fucking thin line that you gotta walk on this one. I like this. This is a red flag answer. This is a gal that there might be some red flags here. I need him to be obsessed with me, but he can't get on my goddamn nerves too much. I love that. That's funny. Um, that's women, bro. That's great. This next response says gay guy. This guy says gay. The question is gay. I can't argue against that. All right. So for the responses to love a man more than he loves you, have they ever received this advice? Oh, by the way, 68 people said yes and like 12 people said no. So a lot of people said yes. High percentage of people said yes to the poll. It was like 80-20 or something like that. This girl says, I'm an Aries, so that's actually not possible. Red flag right here. Horoscope. No one loves harder than me. Oh, good for her. Hopefully she finds somebody that could handle all that and they just love hard as fuck. That'd be cool. Right? So she's like, this doesn't even apply to me because my love is on a different level. Right? The power scaling for her love is universal. And this question is worldly. It's earth based. That's as big as the blast goes. This person thinks it's stupid. I do think yeah. I agree with that. I do think it's like yeah, I don't know. It just makes me sad. This next person says, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save her. This is a J. Cole quote. You cannot save anybody. They have to, you can only get them so far, and then they got to save themselves, dude. That's why a lot of people go to the Lord now. That's a big one now. A lot of the love and hip hop girls, a lot of reality TV stars are now going to God, which is completely fine. I think we need God. I used to be anti-religion. I was like, oh, people can figure it out. And I used to say shit like, everybody needs to like think for themselves, blah, blah, blah. And then a few years ago, I was like, man, people can't think for themselves and they need something to keep them. They actually need something to keep them in line. So I'm seeing a lot of people go into church, and for years I've been saying this. Like, I feel like the turning to God thing is for a lot of people to make it seem like they're doing work. It's almost like you're giving up all your responsibilities to the Lord, which to me feels like skipping the actual work. So this is what happens for a lot of people, I think, mentally, and people won't admit this. This is some deep human shit, but like, people will give themselves to the Lord, say, oh, I'm a Christian now, I don't do this. It's a way for them to not do any work, but then also have superiority over like, yo, I'm best friends with the guy who created the universe. What y'all gonna do? And then now they get to judge and not do any actual internal work. And I'm not saying that religion doesn't help people, because it definitely does. It can help people keep grounded. But I know there's a pocket of people that are turning to the Lord as a way to skip doing the actual work. So if you're that person, if you've gone to the Lord and you haven't gone to therapy, just move the order of operations. Do a year therapy, or you could do both. Go to church on Sunday and then therapy once a month. Some people think you got to do therapy weekly. No, once a month. Start with once a month. You'll be better for it. You'll stop ruining your life and the people around you. Like, but also if you got to throw the Lord on top too, I'm cool with that. There's a place for religion. What? All right. So this guy says, bro, I heard that shit. And then I was told you're in love with me. And oh, wait. You're in love with me and I just love you. Wow. That relationship's over, right? He's like, you're in love with me and I just love you as like a person. That's sad. Let's see. I don't get it, but also I'm single. This person says, I don't like the advice, but I'm also single. This is a very self-aware person, probably could believe in himself a little bit more. We had a lot more men answer this than women. No, not more than women, but more men are answering, which is good. The next one, I agree. All of the happiest relationships I've seen that this is the dynamic. And I've had a few people respond with that same thing. They said the happiest relationships they see are that. And I'm not saying I'm not saying this can't work. I'm just telling you my perspective on it. Just seems like scarcity mindset. Maybe I'm fantasizing and maybe this is real love. This is like real world, how humans probably need to interact, right? Because in every system, there needs to be a regulator. And if the regulator is women, which kind of makes sense, then that, I mean, listen, if this fucking worked, it would be great. Because especially if you love hard as a dude, I'm one of those guys. I go in, I'm a fucking showman and I mean it. Like, but that can be a lot for a lot of people. That was one of the issues in the last talking phase from my Patreon. Go check that out. It can be uncomfortable, especially if someone's not used to being loved like that. It can just feel fucking weird. It could creep them out. Like there's nothing you could do about that, except find someone that can handle that type of affection and all that. Someone's that's different on the healing journey. You're on the same somewhere on the same path. Don't get it. I'm single. Oh, dynamic. Yeah, my sister said that because she loves hard, and this dynamic works because now she can feel comfortable, and this is the best response. That's pro this thing that I disagree with. This advice. She said that when she has a man that loves her more than she loves him, then she can feel free to love as hard as she wants because she doesn't have to worry about ever loving more than him because like her capacity isn't at his, so she can like freely do it and feel great about it. And I love that response. That one I was like, holy shit, this makes sense. I love that. And that's when I switched over from, hey man, if it fucking works for other people, it works at the end of the day. And that's a good setup because he gets to love as hard as he wants and she can accept it. That's another thing. She's accepting his 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 love and it has accepted that he loves harder. Um, and they have a great relationship. Their goals. I like how he treats my sister. I've actually learned some things on like man shit on like taking care of your woman from him, like just little tiny things. Um, Yeah, which is good. So now I just got to find a woman that's like cool with that, like cool that's being taken care of, and like your actions don't trigger her hyper individuality. That's the next thing. Because if this system works, that means all I would have to do is find right. It'd be easy for me to find a woman that I love more than she loves me because I love hard. I'm whatever. I'm OD. Um, she would just have to be able to accept that. Cool. And now, so if those conditions are in place, then all I would have to do is to find someone responsible enough to trust with your heart and your head, because that's what you're doing, bro. You're putting yourself out there. And yo, go check out that Patreon because I talk about that. I went in unguarded to shit to this last thing, which is why it hurt so much. But honestly, fucking worth it. I got it hurt, but not as much as one would think. I don't know. It was definitely a learning experience. Um, yeah. So you just have to find someone that's responsible enough that you can trust your head and heart to, and that would be that because that's a big task right there. But if it works, baby. So next, a question: women are socialized to overly self-sacrifice for relationships, and that dynamic evens it more. I like that explanation for this pro response. Women are socialized to overly self-sacrifice for the relationships, and the dynamic evens it more. Yeah. Women definitely sacrifice in the body sense, which is a huge sacrifice. And then men sacrifice. We all sacrifice in other ways, right? Um, and with her math, this relationship dynamic would even out the sacrifice and all that. So I can't argue against that. The next person says this sounds toxic, and I think it is. And I think here's the thing: this might be gray area where this is toxic for some people, but it works for others, and that's the world, right? This is life. This person says, all I can say is that successful heterosexual relationships I've seen have this dynamic. Another person, different person, vouching for the success rate. Somebody else says it's toxic. Every relationship I've been in before meeting my wife had this exact dynamic. Oof, this is a dude. He expands in the DMs by saying it felt normal for him, blah, 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 whatever. But once he found who the woman he's with now, his wife, it's a more healthy dynamic and a more healthy relationship. So it's not like, an anxious attachment and an avoidant attachment getting together. And there's like cat and mouse that makes the avoidant attachment kind of thrives on like a little bit of a chase, and the anxious attachment just kind of constantly wants to be with the other person. So it creates a weird like back and forth that can come off really unbalanced. Somebody says, sounds pretty fucked up. Not sure what it even means. Yeah. This other person rewords it. This next one, marry the one that loves you the most. This changes the perspective. It's like, find someone that loves you the most, as opposed to like, there's no competition between the person. This is more of like hey, this guy loves me the most. I like that. This other person says, still looking. I feel you, girl. Everybody's out here still looking, trying to figure it out. We in the trenches, and I am in the trenches with you. This person says, I think it's weird and a little arrogant to think that. I like that. I think we hit the nail on the head with this one. It works for some, and some people use it as a toxic method. Unfortunately, this gives me the ick. Oh, this girl doesn't like when a guy loves her more. She's she's a cool girl, and she gets the ick. If you don't know what the ick is, this is when the ick is when women need to get over themselves. That is the ick. So the ick is different from a red flag is like a serious thing. I think the ick is something small that someone does that can instantly turn a girl off and disgust them. Now, usually icks come at the end of a relationship. That's normal. But now people get them in the talking phase where you give someone the ick. Could you imagine if dudes got the ick, bro? They'd be labeled as narcissist and sociopath. If a dude got the ick, like, yo, yeah, everything's good. I think you're great. But the other day when you bent down to get your t-shirt off the floor after we had sex, your titties sucked up into your body, and they were like pointy little hangy titties, and that disgusted me. Just the way you moved your body grossed me out. So I no longer have feelings for you, bro. If a dude did that, like, if a dude got the ick, there's just no way. They'd hang him in the town square. Let's see. Next one. I'm trying. I don't know. I'd like to think we can be equal even in the love we feel. Yeah, there's definitely like over a certain amount of period, there's a balance. There's a balance. I've loved every man more than they love me. I've loved and they've used me. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, people can use you for your attention or your the feeling you give them momentarily, but once they're done if they don't like you. I think this advice comes from a broken place. Find someone emotionally aware and available. But that's the thing, is like, can someone handle that, bro? Some people just need to play at their level of love at the end of the day. And unfortunately for some people, it's toxic behavior that keeps them in because it's comfortable. The next one is 1000% ancient Chinese secret. She is pro this advice, and this is a woman, entrepreneur type. She gets her cash. Hilarious woman. But she says it's an ancient Chinese secret, and the Chinese. Fred Talk is a pro China podcast, so when the war happens, we will be siding with China. And if the Chinese are doing it, this was the second thing that made me lean more towards this advice. It was my sister's thing about she feels free to love, but whatever. And then this one, if you got China back in this advice, it's doing something. Let's see. Terrible advice, unhealthy dynamic. I'm with you, girl. I'm still on that side of the fence, but I see the other side as well. People suck. Oh, this yo. This response right here is real. This one, I've been thinking about this response for the past couple weeks since I posted this. But she says, people suck at dating. People suck. Sorry. People suck. And dating is hard, especially when you like yourself. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that like or even for like love themselves. And when you get to a point where you like yourself, I agree with this 100%. Dating is hard because you're the one that's responsible for making all the hard decisions and following through so that you can keep your peace. After this last thing blew up, I'm like, yo, let me stop going to therapy so I can let these hoes catch up. You know what I'm saying? Like you can self-development yourself into isolation, and this is even more so like especially for women. Like if you're a successful woman, like an ambitious woman, it becomes harder the dating pool for you guys. But in general too, for a person that if you're in therapy, you got to get your person, you got to find somebody at the same level of healing, and it becomes harder when you go to therapy and other people don't. I saw a good meme that said, I go to therapy to deal with people that don't go to therapy. And I was like, oh shit, it's a goddamn, it's the Jedi versus the Sith. Some motherfuckers think they're too cool for therapy. And I think those people are fucking losers. Like, how can you, there's people that claim to be self-help and into science and all this stuff. And then they'll be like, nah, therapy is not cool. I got a crystal coach that she gets me right. And if that works, that's fine. But it's weird to like put down therapy and then get a crystal coach. Why does why does the man love unlimited and the woman restrains? What is she holding out for? I don't like it either. You're rationing out love. Hey, you get 2 loves today. You get 4 loves today. No, this is bullshit. But if it works, it works. Like, see, I just, dude, I'm gonna be a great politician for the Chinese Communist Party, bro. When they take over, I'm gonna have a red and yellow tracksuit, Adidas, gold stripes coming down, that red and gold, right? Let's see. This person says, I can see the power dynamics, but also see it being about masculine and feminine energy being adored. I don't know what that means, but that shit sounds cute as hell. All right. So shout out to this person. I can see the power dynamics, but also see it about masculine and feminine energy being adored. That's some cute ass shit. I wish I could end the show on that, but we have more responses. Oh, just a couple more. Um, Successful relationships are based on mutual love and respect and adoration. I don't think anybody could argue against that. I don't think AI could argue against that. And the final one for today, it feels transactional and gross, and I'm with her on that, y'all. I'm with her on that, and that is the end of today's episode. Thank you for tuning into Fred Talk. I appreciate you. Please check out the Patreon. Your boy was spitting heat for 27 minutes, but I'm out here in the trenches with y'all in the single life. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend. This is the only way we're gonna grow. All right. It's the best comedy relationship life podcast you ever gonna get it. Bye.